Men and women of the El Paso Police Department help keep the Sun City one of the safest in the country.
But this thin blue line is wearing even thinner, with a police force that is as small as it was back in the 1990s. CBS 4 10's Ashley Cullinane sat down with former police officers to talk about the force of the past and the future of El Paso PD.
2.255. 2.255.
The late 1970s. It was a different era in policing. El Paso's finest held tight to revolvers. Body cameras wouldn't be around for decades.
The dirty hairy days. He said it. I didn't.
Back then, Saul Villalobos was a rookie.
I thought it was kind of crazy. They were paying me for the job I was doing. It was fun. People were behind you. Areas of town, you were looked at as a hero.
He says this honor didn't last long.
If you got in trouble with a police officer, people would ask you, well, what did you do wrong? Today, you get in trouble with the police and it's like, well, why were they picking on you?
Now, putting someone behind bars can mean public scorn, followed by career-ending legal battles.
Because at the time, you know, if you would remember the way America was towards police officers, even though there was a love-hate, there was love. You know, now it's just mostly hate. You know, so it's much tougher. I would not want to be a police officer today.
EPPD didn't want to go on camera, but officers tell me the department is at a 20-year low. It's staffed with only about 1,000 officers. According to the FBI, with around 680,000 people in El Paso, the department should have at least 1,500 officers. Former police chief Carlos Leon says this puts officers' lives at risk.
And what that means is these officers are really more in danger as they handle cases, as they handle their calls.
10.9 dropped off. Will be today.
We're putting more pressure on them. The arrival time is being pushed back. Sometimes the chief doesn't have a choice.
On top of slow response times, these officers are behind the wheel of units used and abused.
It wasn't back then, and it's still not rare to see a car with over 200,000 miles on it.
They cover even more ground with an expanding east side.
And back then, well, Lee Trevino, I would say, was desert.
These burdens are sending the ranks packing.
Police officers are finding greener pastures in other fields.
According to the El Paso Municipal Police Association, the department loses around 50 officers a year. Some move to other agencies like the Texas Department of Public Safety. Government data shows a DPS trooper makes around $60,000 the first year on the job. An El Paso police officer earns around $41,000 after graduation.
Some other city, some other department is reaping those rewards.
Villalobos says this comes down to one thing: money.
The police department really desperately needs funds.
The city also could not go on camera, but tells me it's fighting the shortage with a 5-year plan starting in September. It wants PD to hire at least 20 to 25 officers on top of the 50 it typically loses each year. It's also trying to create better pension plans to make veteran officers stay put. Villalobos retired in 2003 after 25 years on the force.
Go back, rewind to your first year on the force. Say you could somehow see what it would be like in 2016. What would your thoughts be?
Oh my God, that's a good question. Oh, what would my thoughts be? Thank God I'm retired. You know, because I wouldn't want to be doing it today, not under today's circumstances. I mean, my hat's off to these guys. Really is. Because I definitely wouldn't want to do it.
The El Paso Police Department says 2 academies this year will add around 80 officers to the force. A small step in a big fight to bolster the thin blue line. Ashley Cullinane, CBS 4 at 10.
Well, Villalobos and Leon say they believe it could take another 10 years to get 1,500 officers on the force. And according to a city population study, that still won't be enough. Projected population numbers show El Paso PD will need more than 1,700 officers just 4 years from now.